Thank you for browsing page 121. Today I'm going to take a look at an offering out of the Soleimani Front book by Mongoose for second edition. It's going to be the planet Gaia. I just took a look at this on my channel sometime a couple of days ago, depending on whenever I published this video. But I saw something in here on the planet Gaia, and specifically the Gaians, that I thought was really interesting, so I thought we'd take a look at it. Gaia is a system in the Al-Badawi subsector of the Soleimani Rim. And there she sits right there, 0722. And the thing that is of interest to me in this, and when I first read through this book, and I mentioned it in the look I took at this entire book a week or so ago, is that Gaia is a garden world with an old and highly sophisticated biosphere. Life forms here adapt with breathtaking speed to changing conditions, yet manage to do so in a way that apparently supports symbiosis with humanity. This was first noticed when the Fulani colonists began clearing poisonous native plants and planting imported crops. Soon many native plants began changing and becoming more like the off-world species. Within a few generations, they were proving edible and even tasty. Less dramatic but similar adaptations occurred as other species rapidly integrated foreign plants and animals or resisted and thrived in areas of industrial pollution. So the planet itself seems to adapt the plants to be favorable to humanity. And if humanity changes them out and puts in a crop that they find favorable, the planet itself adapts and says, okay, we'll go ahead with that one. That one's better for you guys. So the planet's actually suited perfectly for humans. That's really interesting. Definitely seems to have been engineered that way. And of course, the boogeyman for any kind of old engineering that's unexplainable now is the ancients did it. And it could well be an ancient experiment, possibility of creating a biosphere that was perfectly adapted to humans. I think it's a really cool idea. I think the story possibilities on this planet alone are tremendous. I could see an entire campaign based out of just this planet and having the campaign go for a very long time based around this adaptability of the planet itself. It goes on to say that the world appeared nearly magical to the Fulani settlers. To the Terrans who came after and had a greater understanding of genetic engineering, it's proved an enduring puzzle. The world's Terran name reflects the idea that the planet is in some way a single giant organism that exhibits low-level sentience. Studies of genetic material have revealed a level of complexity dwarfing life forms of other systems, and the world has proven a bonanza for genetic and pharmaceutical research, functioning as a form of living bioreactor. On the other hand, the complex and poorly understood symbiotic links between the world's diverse life forms has made it nearly impossible for Gaia's plants or animals to thrive off-world, and the ever-changing nature of Gaia's products have made it difficult, although not impossible, for companies seeking to establish stable commercial varieties of crops. So if you grow corn and you always want the corn to taste like corn, and the corn doesn't taste like corn for future crops, then you've got a problem in your industry. You've got a problem in your in selling the corn flavored product if every time it comes up it tastes like carrots, or it started out as corn and now it tastes like carrots. So it's part of the problem with the planet is that the stuff is adapting to get better, but it may not be better for what you intend the plant to be for. It also talks about animals not adapting to being off-world. That implies that anything that lives here is being changed by it. I'm going to get to that in a moment with the Gaians. But that presents a tremendous amount of role-playing ideas. Could someone who is a native Gaian, a person who is native to the planet, not a Gaian subspecies, could they be perhaps bound to the planet? And maybe coming off the planet, they would develop an illness within a year or two that would be undiagnosable and maybe fatal after a while. But if they went back to the mother world, then they'd be okay. That would be a really good story arc if your travelers were commissioned by somebody who had figured this out and needed desperately to get back to the planet, but found themselves way far away from it. So that could be a really interesting patron for you. And then it talks about the political end of it, where it was originally settled by Villani and then taken over by the Soleimani. And then during the run of the Soleimani, Gaia was also home to a large Ministry of Genetics laboratory. Although primarily devoted to studying the unusual ecosystem during the 950s, Dr. Carla Vauxman used the laboratory complex for experimentation on Fulani dissidents. One of the most bizarre of these programs involved creating genetically altered humans modified with genes taken from Gaea's higher animals. The hybrids carried to term in Fulani host mothers, quote, recruited, unquote, from dissidents. Volksman's experiments were eventually shut down by Salsek. This research data in hybrids were supposedly destroyed, but rumors persist some may have survived. And it goes on to say later in the Soleimani Rim War, the Purist Party government was overthrown by a popular front that declared for the Imperium, and that it pretty much is a good Imperium planet now. But it's interesting that we actually got an altered human species out of this called the Gaeans. And I think this species also, even as written, I think is underdeveloped. I think there can be a lot more to the Gaeans than what this tells us. They are listed as animals. They are 25 hits with a 6-meter movement. Skills are melee 0, recon 1, stealth 1, survival 1. I would give melee 1, by the way. Attacks are with claws for 1 die, or spear, axe, or knife, and that would be damage per the weapon. Traits are heightened senses, and they are omnivore hunter-gatherers. Enclaves of what are now known as Gaeans exist in remote areas of the planet, descended from human-animal hybrids that prove viable and escape destruction by various means. Some groups were saved by conservationists. Others were seen as possible source of cheap labor. All have been plagued with a variety of disorders, with around 75% of births showing serious defects. Few of these defective young live long enough, survive long, and in many cases are killed by their parents. It's possible that some of these defects were engineered into the Gaeans' DNA in an attempt to create fanciful creatures. Other problems are apparently due to the complex and unstable nature of the genetic makeup. However, the instance of defects is gradually falling and numbers are increasing. Perhaps the Gaeans are being adapted to survive by the same mechanism that guides the planet's ecosystem. Gaeans are humanoid and can be mistaken for human at a distance. They have heavier bone structure and denser musculature, and possess nails strong enough to be considered claws. Facial features are heavy and deep set, providing protection for the eyes and giving the Gaeans a disturbingly bestial appearance. They live in extended family groups of 6 to 10 adults and can make basic tools, clothing, and weapons. Stone axes, spears, and fire-hardened points, and a variety of knife scrapers are in common use. Gaeans have also been sighted using manufactured tools, although whether they were given these or stolen, remains unknown. Gaeans are adept at surviving in rough or close terrain where humans rarely go, and are generally fearful of non-Gaeans. They will melt away into the countryside if at all possible, leaving virtually no trace of their existence. They are in tune with the environment to an almost uncanny level, and will sometimes react to the presence of strangers long before they could possibly have been detected. It's possible that the numbers have been underestimated because they know when to move away. And some local humans are giving the Gaean community shelters. And it states here, this may be misguided. Gaeans are not sentient and do not share any sort of bond with humans. They will kill intruders if they feel threatened, so perhaps the well-meaning conservationists are creating a serious problem for themselves. Interesting, but I think an even more interesting thing is, what if the Gaeans were actually sentient all along and just chose not to reveal it as part of their survival trait? What if they really did understand society and interactions and language and things, but were pretending to be primitives so that they basically be left alone as animals? It's an interesting idea, and it really brings up a lot of role-playing possibilities for you, a lot of adventure possibilities on the planet. And again, maybe some Gaeans are taken off planet and mysteriously get ill a short time after they leave the planet and have to be brought back before they perish. And the person who brought them off planet meant well, was trying to transplant them to a place of safety, but now is concerned for their health and well-being. So just another story arc you can get out of this one planet. I think Gaea is a fabulous location, and it's definitely an area I am going to consider down the line for a future Traveler campaign setting. But there you have it. That's all I've got today for page 121. I hope you liked what you heard and saw. If you did, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.